We were given half ram meat to pepper and also to fry, and in this video I am just going to be showing you all the processes with the recipes included. You call me Quinola, Quinola. Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I would like to say thank you so much for stopping by, and if you're a returning subscriber, you know that I really do love and appreciate you. So today we are going to be learning how to marinate, properly boil, and also fry ram meat. Okay, so this video is going to be divided into two. The second half of the video will be for the processes on how we prepared the remaining ram meat. So our clients gave us half ram meat, and then we divided them into two. Some of them were actually cut into chunk sizes so that we would pepper it later, while this other one that we are actually marinating at the moment and adding spices to at the moment is going to be for just frying. Okay, so after washing our meat, the first thing I did was to add in the powdered ginger and garlic. I also added in the amawanda, curry, and thyme. Now you need enough for this meat because it's basically half ram meat, so you just need enough. And then for the bouillon cubes, I used the Maggi cube and also the star bouillon cube. So I just combine them together. Do not worry, the list of ingredients will be included in the caption, all right, or in the description box, so you are just going to see everything there. So I actually added in a generous amount of this, which I'm going to be explaining why later, so you have to wait till the end. You need a lot of flavor for round meat, especially with the fact that this particular one I was not going to pepper it, so you need it to be sweet enough for your client. Okay, so I needed it to be sweet enough, but at the same time you shouldn't allow it to be overly salty or overly sweet. So when we were done doing that, the next thing I did was to just add in the salt. Okay, I added in salt. You can see the more you use the Maggi, the lesser your salt should be, because if you put the both at each proportion, it may eventually be too much. Okay, and another thing is that you don't end here when it has to do with seasoning. When you are done mixing all together, you try to taste to ensure that you have the perfect taste. Now when you are satisfied with your taste, right, or when you allow it boil a little more before you add in your water and all and whatnot, the next thing you just want to do is to cover in your pot and ensure that the next thing you want to do is to adjust for seasoning, and you'll do just fine. Okay, so the next thing I did was to add in my onions, and after adding in the onions, I just began to marinate everything together. Now these are my own spices. This is what I use, because on this channel, right, we talk about the basic ingredients. We don't overdo things here. Okay, so one special ingredient I used for this meat, because it's for a party, I just added in the Larsor beef seasoning. Now this is actually the first time I would be using the Larsor beef seasoning, because I usually use the fish seasoning for my barbecue, but I just had faith in the beef seasoning, and I used it for this recipe. And funny enough, yeah, it was actually a game changer. So can you let me know if you also add Lasso beef seasoning, if you actually use it in your recipes? It actually made a lot of sense, adding in the Lasso beef seasoning. Now when we marinated and we realized that everything was perfect, I just pluck out some green peppers that I had in my garden, and I just added it. Now let's move to the other pot. Now this other pot consists of the meat, the chunk sized meat that we were going to be using and peppering later. So in our next video, you need to watch out for this space, because in our next video we are going to be showing you all how we actually peppered this meat. Okay, so let's move on. So we added in the ginger powder and the garlic powder. You guys, please tell me how much they sell ginger at your place, because right now ginger is is oil money. So please just let me know in the comment section also. Now, after adding in the ginger and garlic powder, I also added in my curry, my thyme, also the Amawanda brand, which I love so much. I also added in the Maggi. It's all of these things, all of this seasoning just comes in no particular order. Okay, just do you and do what works best for you. So when we're done adding that to the mix, we now added in our salt to taste. Okay, we also added in our salt to taste. Now another thing I added to this recipe is our paprika powder. Yes, our paprika powder. Now, the thing about boiling meat I have observed from experience is that you should always allow your base to be very sweet. You see, if your meat, for example, is sweet from the boiling stage, yeah, you do not have to overdo when you are marinating, maybe, or when you are adding it to pepper. Okay, so let's say for example you want to do your pepper mix and all that. You can actually make your pepper sweet, but by the time you are adding in the fried meat, you don't need to be worrying whether or not your meat is sweet. So that's why we take our time, to ensure that our meat is sweet, and it makes a whole lot of sense. All right, so in this particular one I also added in some blended peppers. Okay, we also added in some blended scotch bonnet pepper. So yeah, that's basically it. I did not add the Larsor beef seasoning to this because I was still going to add it to my pepper when I'm frying it. So I didn't add that to it because too much of everything too is not good. And in this space we only talk about the basics, right? So if you have watched till this point, just know that I am grateful, and I know it's because you are learning something. That is why you are still here. And so I would like to use this medium to also tell you not to forget to subscribe to my channel and also like this video. In this space, we talk about everything that has to do with making cooking and pastry easy for you. We also talk about the behind the scenes of our catering project. So Quinola Catering Services, we are dedicated to, ensuring that you eat healthy and you also do the right things when it has to do with budgeting, feeding, and delivering appropriately. Okay. And we are also open to projects, we are open to collaborations, we are open to charity events, and lots more. Okay, your support means a lot to us, and hence the reason why we are doing this. So when I was satisfied with marinating, I went to check on our goat, ram meat that is boiling. Did I just say goat meat? I'm so sorry, it's not goat meat though, it is ram meat. So I went to check up on the other one just to mix properly and to also check if it is boiling properly. So when I was done with doing that, I covered the pot and I continued. Now, the next thing I did was to also check up on, the smaller chunks, the boil from the smaller chunks. So this is just look at the water that this brought out. Honestly, to you guys, I did not add water to this at all. And I also love this ram meat. I don't know, it's not the hard type. There are some that you have to boil and boil and boil and boil. But honestly, it is not, this wasn't even hard at all. And I am this is a go-to ram, for to anybody that wants to. I'll try to get the breed and just include in the description box for you all. So when I was satisfied with the tenderness of the meat, the next thing I started doing was to just bring them all out so that I'm going to fry it and also pepper it. Now, one thing with cooking outside is the way the breeze used to, just switch off your gas. Thankfully, we're able to boil this without the breeze interference. But you see the big pots, oh my god, it took a lot of time. Honestly, it took a lot of time. So when we were done, boiling the small one, you can see how beautiful it came out. So because I couldn't wait for the big ones to fry and all that, I just went straight to frying the smaller ones because we're still going to pepper it later. So you guys, because of the duration of this particular one, I'll be doing another video to showing you guys how I peppered these smaller chunks of meat. But it is just the same thing when it has to do with frying. The first thing I did was to put in my onions to allow the onions to release its own flavor right inside the oil before I now added in the small meat. Now when I was done you know frying this particular small meat, I now proceeded with frying the second meat. Okay, that's the bigger chunks of meat that we are cooking in the other pot. Okay, so along the line in the bigger pot, what I did was the water we that got extracted from the previous meat, which is the smaller chunks of meat. Guess what I did, guys? I actually poured everything into the bigger pot and it made a whole lot of sense. At this stage, the meat was boiled, so the only thing that was left was to sieve everything out properly, and then I proceeded to frying. So this is our fresh meat. Look at how beautifully they came out. It was soft and it retained its own size. There are some meats that when you boil them, number one, you have to boil for long, and number two, they don't retain their sizes. But I love this meat so much. So this was me just multitasking at this point, like your super mama. I really did not know what came over me, but I guess because of the timing and all that, so I had to do two things at a time. So this was how everything came out. And after frying, this is our meat. Just look at how beautiful, just look at how gorgeous it is. Thank you so much for watching, and in our next video I'm going to be sharing with you all the process of the peppered meat. I love you all once again and have an amazing day ahead. Bye.